So I've started the live stream for this class. So you can share the live stream link with
Yes.
your. Okay. So can you see my screen?
Go see your screen.
Okay, good. So this class is going to be interactive, as I've said earlier. Not more of like it's not lecturing. So mainly what this course is about is C programming and code. What this course is mainly about C programming and code. So what is there anybody here that has idea of programming that can tell me about what programming is? Anybody that knows what programming is? I want this class to be very interactive and there might be a lucky winner. There's not a winner to be this very honest. So you might be a lucky winner from your participation. So is there anybody in the house that can tell me what programming is? Is there anybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's programming, Taiwo?
Programming is the process of written instruction for computer to follow in order to perform a task.
Okay, process of giving a computer instruction to perform the task. You know, any other person? Any other person? Okay. So it's only that let's proceed. So in this tutorial class I've said we'll be making this very interactive. So, we won't be reading through more of stories, we'll be doing more of practical aspects. So programming, just as I was said, like giving computers some set of instructions for it to carry to perform a specific task. So just see programming as just from the name program, it's not something hard, it's not something forget about the big grammars here. Okay, let's read what's here and let me try and explain from the definitions that are here. Computers are very dumb machines indeed because they do as instructed by user. To solve a problem using computer, you must explain the solution to the problem in terms of the instructions of the particular computer. So what programming is about is even writing some set of the computers can't do things on their own. It's when you give them specific set of instruction. So programming is more of like programming is like forming a set of instructions. So that's where we have different kind of programming languages. That's where programming language comes in. So let me link into what we see in our day-to-day life.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yes, can hear you. Who is that one?
Mo ṣe send number Frank sí mi. Tí o fẹ́ kí n tí o
Hmm?
fẹ́ kí n tí o fẹ́ kí n máa do kí n náà máa gbà owó ni.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Okay, okay, good. So for people that are having issues, you can also share this link to your departmental group and faculty group for some of your mates to stream live if they can't join this if they can't join this meeting call. So yeah, I asked a question that is there anybody that knows what a compiler is? Yeah, Taiwo, do you know what a compiler is?
I don't get.
I'm asking a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know what a compiler is? Compiler.
Compiler.
Yeah.
Ah, I have ideas about. I don't know.
You can try, you can try. You can mute your video.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what a compiler is?
Yes.
Without wasting much time, yeah, okay. You can try, proceed.
So like I can just say compiler is the computer programming that translates source code written in programming language to machine code.
So what?
I mean, like compiler is a programming that translates source code written in a programming language into a simpler code that computer understands. That's what I can
Exactly.
say about
You got it. So I think you've answered two questions. And I said the class is going to be interactive and there are going to be a lot of giveaways. So drop your line and your number for me on the chat session. You just want 5K. So let's proceed.
it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So that's what compiler is all about. Compiler is just like what I was said. I don't want to use the big grammar that is here. So it's just like a program that interprets, that translates your written the written programming language to the human readable programming language to more of like bits to simpler code that can be understood by the computer. Because the C you are writing, the C++, PHP, JavaScript, the other programming languages, any programming language you write, cannot be understood by the computer. What the computer understands is 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1. So we will not be going deep into that. So that's the work of a compiler. It interprets your code into smaller part that the computer can understand. So let's just read the definition here. A compiler analyzes a program developed in a particular programming language. So the programming language doesn't matter. It can be C, C++, and then translates it
This one.
into the format that is suitable for execution on your particular system. So it translates it to an executable code it's executable file rather on your computer system. The source code written in the source file is the human readable source for your program. So that's what compiler does. It's meant for like translating of your code. into something that your computer can understand. So that's what compiler is about. So yeah, so we have IDE here, integrated development environment. So who can tell me what an IDE is? Anybody?
Sir, can you come again?
What is an IDE? IDE, integrated development environment. What is it? What does it do? What is it about?
Oh, network.
What's an IDE?
ID.
Yeah, IDE.
Huh?
Okay, let us waste most time because time is not much, right? So let me just answer that. IDE, just from the full name, integrated development environment. It is where you write your code. It is where you do the writing of your code. You understand? Just like when you want to write notes in class, you can go with your exercise book. So we said the program language is language you use to communicate with the computer, to give the computer an instruction. So there must be somewhere you would be passing the information through. There must be somewhere you are going to write the instructions. So that's what the ID does. So the ID is where you pass your information when you write your codes. So that's just what an ID is about. And the full meaning of ID is integrated development environment. So let's read the definition here. The process of editing, compiling, running a program is often managed by a single integrated application known as integrated development environment, or IDE for short. An IDE is a window-based program that allows you to easily manage large software programs, edit files in Windows, and compile, link, run, and debug your programs. So an IDE is where you do your development of your program. You see it as a place where you do the whole development. So that's where you write your code, that's where you do your running of code and things like that. I have samples here. This is an IDE, this VS Code, and other IDEs. We have Atom, we have different kind of IDEs. So can you guys hear me? So now turning
We can
the
hear you,
code
sir.
blocks. Yeah, so turning the code block workspace. So for you to actually really understand this part, I would advise you guys to install code blocks. So this part is just more practical aspect. So we talked about ID. An example of ID is code blocks. An example of ID is code blocks. So what this part is about is showing you what code block has. The so here we have the toolbar. Here we have the management, which has to do with where you manage your files, where you see all the files you have. We have editor here where we edit the code. So tomorrow fully when we start writing code, you see this in like a real life, like in a practical aspect. So we have here where we do logs. This is where you have the logs. This is where you have the status bar. So yeah, so I won't really be saying much about this part. Until when we start like the coding using code blocks tomorrow, then that's when I'll be referencing this. So and in this part, this part is just explaining how you create your file, how you create a file to start writing your programming language or your IDE. Now, so we'll practicalize. This part is more of like a practical aspect.
Use Telegram now. Wow.
What's that? Can you guys hear me? Okay, so let's proceed.
I'll call you back in the class.
Okay, so I told you guys that C is a programming language. So yeah, I haven't mentioned that. So I told you we have different kind of programming languages. Programming language is like the language we use to communicate with our computer. So and you can communicate. Let's imagine you are communicating with your siblings. David, can you mute your mic? So can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, good. So let's proceed. So I said there are different kind of programming languages, but in this, for the sake of this class, we will be dealing mainly with C programming language, just for the scope of this tutorial. So we will be dealing with C programming language. So yeah, um, we have we have features of here we have features of C language. So C is an high level language. So I don't know if there's anybody that can explain that. Or can anybody tell me what does anybody know anything about C language? Can anybody tell me anything about C language before I proceed? Anybody? C language. Yeah, you can mute yourself and speak. Yeah, you can mute and speak.
C language is kind of like a programming language, but it's in general speaking that it's mother of all programming languages.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, C plus plus is kind of built on top of it. Any other languages like Python and everything is kind of built on top C,
So
and it's the fastest language.
it's very close to the computer. Yeah. So yeah, let me just give more. Thank you very much, Adekule. Thank you for that clarity. So let me give more clarity on that. So the reason why C language is we have high level language and we have low level language. So but C is rather than high level language. Let me see how I can explain in simple terms. Let me see how I can explain in simple terms. I'm going to use very technical terms. Okay. So let me just explain C as um it's a programming language that can be easily compiled to a computer readable language. Yeah, we have other programming languages that are that needs translator. Exactly. There are some other programming languages that before they can actually be compiled, like what Adekule talked about, like programming like there's some programming language that are built on C. So we have programming language that are built on like Python. So before Python can actually be even be changed to 01, it needs translator on its own that will translate it before it can be compiled. So yeah, so that's why one of the reasons why C is that's one of the reasons why C is high level language. So C is also a structured language. So it improves clarity, quality, and reduce development time for designing a programming software. This is really understanding. It has rich library. So it has library which include most of the arithmetic and logical operations that are predefined. The user only includes the needed library in the code and that functionality. So when we start the coding aspect, you guys will understand more of what we are talking about here as the features. I will be referencing more of the features of C. Program written in single language are highly extensible. So when we start, I can't really explain this much. And fast execution. This fast execution is related to this high level language I talked about. So program execution is faster in C language. It's than its predecessors. So like it runs very fast and it manages memory very well. So these are just the features. So you can just read more about it. If you have questions about these features, you can let me know. You can drop it in the comment section on YouTube or on this chat right now if you have a question now. So yeah. Then we have some stuff we call C tokens. So we have can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Yeah. So we have some stuff we talk about C tokens, but before I go in depth to talk about C tokens, I would like to talk about variables. Let me see if it comes. Okay, variables down here. Okay, but I would just like to explain variables first before I talk about C tokens. Yeah. So we have what called variable. Variable is just like naming thing. In computer doesn't know anything like in our day-to-day activities, if I tell you that give me my bag, you know what I'm talking about. If I say give me my pen, you know what a pen is. But when it comes to programming, when it comes to computer, you have to like give it you have to like teach it how to name. So the process of naming is where you assign that's what variable is about, like naming things. So if I should show a computer a pen and I say this pen is A, anytime I call A, if I tell the computer give me A, the computer is going to give me that pen. If I say B is 20, if I say give me B, it's going to give me 20. If I say C is 5 and B is 10, if I say add C and B for me, it's going to give me 15. So just like when you're saying you're assigning a variable, you are assigning a variable in programming, you are just like you are naming things. I hope that is clear. I hope you guys get that.
Yes, sir.
So is there any question concerning that? Okay. So because all these explanations we'll be doing the practical aspect tomorrow, so you guys would understand better. Then here we have C tokens. So we have different C tokens. We have keywords, symbols, special symbols, constants, string, operators, and identifiers. So I'll be explaining each of them. So when we talk about keywords, you remember that I just explained variables where I said variable is about more of like giving names, naming things. But there are some names that are unique to some positions or to some set of people, like king. You can't just wake up and you name your child king. Or there are some names that are for specific things. You get that is what we call keywords in programming. So we have things like that in programming. That there are some words that are for some specific things. You can't use them. You are not meant to use them while you are naming variables. So I use king as an example. So who can give me an example of a keyword in real life and in programming? So let me give you one in programming. We have if. So we have if, we have else. So who can give me an example of a keyword in real life and in programming? Anybody? Example of a keyword in programming and in real life. Anybody?
Yeah, that's the class.
What do you say?
No. It's after apply.
Anybody?
It's
A keyword in real
Eat.
it's not like an action. Like I need a word, like a name that's assigned to something, that's assigned to a position or a unique name that can't just be that you can't just name someone that is assigned to.
Like, hello, sir.
Yeah. I need it in both in real life and in programming.
Return.
Okay, return for what?
Can you say
Return for real life for programming one. Manny, you can unmute yourself and talk. Auto. Is the auto? Is it the real? Unmute yourself and speak. Actually, you can use the comment section. I will just once to type the word, type real life and type real life and type programming. So I will know the one you are referencing. I need if the keyword in real life. Anybody?
please what's the question again?
Okay, you're the following us. Okay. So my question is that I need a keyword. I explained what keyword is, like how keyword applies in real life. Keywords are more like a name that you can assign to just that are assigned to a position or to a specific person, more like king, queen. You understand? Those are assigned to a specific position. And in programming, we also have things like that, like keywords. They are not just normal names that you can give to that you can just use while you are writing your programming instructions. You understand? Like you can't use a variables rather. You can't use them as variables. You can mainly use them. They are keywords. So I need a sample keyword in programming and a keyword in real life. So that's the first one.
Sir,
Okay.
about the return that I said the other time,
Yeah.
I mean,
You
is it
return.
means function or because I don't
Yeah, I
understand.
don't need explanation. I don't need explanation. I'm asking you the return. Is return a keyword in real life or in programming? And I need a real life.
Eh,
I don't want to
okay,
even
real
give
life.
away. Nobody wants to even give away. Okay. So we proceed. Okay, let's proceed. Let's proceed. We don't have time on our side. We know this. So we have a lot of keywords. We have if, else, and anybody. Yeah, we have switch. What again? Is there anybody answering? Okay, so let's proceed. So we have them here. Look at these are examples of. So keywords cannot be renamed or reprogrammed. So keywords in C languages. So we have auto, default, break, case, char, continue. These are keywords in programming that you can't use as variables. So and we have different explanations for this. So once we start the practical aspects of this class, of this tutorial class, we see how this where we this how it work. That please can you mute yourself? Adekunle? Okay, so let's proceed. We have um we have type of constant in C language. Okay, so before we talk about type of constant in C language, oh, I've not even explained the main types of C tokens. So we also have. Oh, should I just take it step by step? Let me see how um oh, um the video doesn't cover. Okay, so we also have special symbols. So when we talk about special symbols, let me show you where it is. So these are special. So we have special symbols. Special symbols are more like they're also known as like special characters that are used in programming. We have such as and, percentage, hashtag. These special characters have meaning and they are predefined in C library. So they all have meaning. So like in like our real world where we say buy me water and bring my book. So if you want to like type that and in programming, there are ways of typing it. And yeah, look, those are called special characters. Yeah, that's what those are what special characters are about. We have constant. Constant are they are more of like variables, but once they are defined, they can be changed. Those are what we call constant, just from the name. Something that's always changed. That is like static, that is fixed. So I think there's a short explanation about it. So constants, sometimes referred as literals, are like variables. But unlike variables, once they are declared, their values cannot be changed. So I told you that variables are more of like naming. So the name we give to a variable is called value. You understand? Um, so in case the difference between a variable, a constant is also a variable, but a constant, once you assign a value to it, you can't change it. Today I can't say this is a bag. I can't see a bag and say this is a bag and say tomorrow I want to be calling this a book. You can do that with variable. You can tell the computer that A is equals to 20. I still come back and tell that computer that A is no more 20, A is 10. Anytime I ask for A, give me 10. But if you declare a constant, if you tell the computer that A is 20, if it is a constant, the computer will always take that A as 20. You can't change it. So that's the difference between variable and constant. I hope you guys got that. So at the end of this class, I'll be doing there will be a lot of like we'll be ending closing this explanation part by 6:30. 6:30 to 7 question giveaway. So kindly pay attention, interactive. If you have any question, let me know. Let me know. This class is also active on YouTube. So for people that can't unmute their mic to ask questions here, can ask questions on YouTube. I'll come to YouTube to ask that question. Yeah. So let's proceed. Let's proceed. Any question? So we also have what we call strings. So I talked about variables. So when I talked about variables is about giving names, assigning name to um assigning names like naming things, teaching the computers what is what, and teaching it how to name things. So when we talk about string is also string is also um like a variable. But in the case of string, you are assigning characters or collections of characters. So let me give for example now. If I say A is 20, that is an integer. That is an int. So, but string, when I say A is dog, so you can see that dog is like group of characters, like they are letters. So those are what we reference. Those are what we call characters. So when you see someone asking that what's a string, the string is there are collections of character defined in any form of array and end with non-character, which describe the end of the string to the compiler. So what this is just saying that strings are more of like strings are collections of character. Let's say go, they are like letters together. Yeah, that's just a simple word. They are letters together. Those are what we call strings. You understand? While integers are more of like numbers. Can I see? In strings, we have alphabetical data meaning A to Z, which is stored in form of arrays. So when we start the practical aspects, you understand what this in form of array is, but you don't need to worry yourself about it. So just see string as collection of letters. When they ask you that string, just collection of letters. So your exam they ask you that give me 5 strings, just write some collection of letters. Those are what we call string. And also we have identifiers here. So what an identifier means, these are names declared in the program to name a value, variable, functions, array, etc. So when you are giving name, when you are naming, you you can name
It's you're saying you want
any
five.
question.
Just another thing, you win 1 5 again. You do it, you win the 1 5
No question. Go on. We are enjoying you.
3 times.
Okay, who is this fire? Meet yourself. Okay, good. Okay. So yeah, we have what we call identifiers. So identifiers are mainly more of like from the name, just to identify your variable. So now if I want to tell the computer that A is 20, I don't just tell if it's in C language, you can't just say A equals to 20. You have to tell um you have to like write the instruction and tell the computer that this um value I'm assigning to this variable is an integer. And what do we call an integer? We call integers numbers. I've explained that before. Strings are a collection of letters. So if you are assigning, let's say I want to tell the computer that A is 20, I will write int A equals 20. In fact, we started the programming aspect. I can't wait for the programming aspect. But I just want you guys to explain I want you guys to understand the basics, the whole idea before we start writing the code. So that when we start writing code, we're writing it together tomorrow. And the giveaway is going to be massive. I'm going to be throwing a lot of questions. So let me show you this. You can see, let me show you an example. So look at this now. This X is the variable. I tell you that is what you tell the computer that the computer will know. So here the programmer is trying to tell the computer that S is 20. But you can't just write S is 20. You have to tell the programming language the identifier. So what we call identifier are these ints. This int here is an identifier, is an example of an identifier. So you're trying to tell the computer that so when you want to type a variable, just type okay, name equals to maybe Afolabi or name equals to Taiwo or something. You have to like let it know that this is a character, this is an integer. You understand? So you get my point. So that's what identifier does. So before you can actually type what you want, you have to like tell it the identifier, like what this is about. You have to give full information. So that's what identifier does. So once we start the coding aspect tomorrow, we use identifier a lot. So you can see in the above, S is identified, S is the identifier and the value stored is 10. The keyword is int. This is the data type specified for the identifier X. So this identifier X, this S variable rather, the identifier is int. I see the keyword identifier is int. So I think I skipped the part here. We have type of constants. You can just read this on your own. We have okay. Let me just quickly explain this. We have integer constants. We have floating point constant. We have character constants. We have string constants, and we have octa and hexadecimal constant. So this should be very explanatory. This should be very easy for you guys to understand. So you know I've explained constant as variables, just constant as variable, but they are variables that cannot change. And you can see integer constant, meaning that the constants that takes in number. Floating point constant, these are constants that take in all these decimal point numbers like 20.20, 20.5, those stuff. We have characters. I tell you the characters. Okay, we have characters and we have strings. So characters are more of like so characters and strings are they are very um close. But the difference is that in strings are a collection of characters. While character is more you can see a character you can view character as a letter, while string is more of like a word. I hope that is clear so that you guys will be convinced. So once we start the programming aspect tomorrow too, you'll see this. So you can say character, you can say A, B, C, D. Those are just character words are strings. Go, come, dog, eat, jump. Those are the strings. So these are collection of characters. Those are what we call strings. So um we talked about special symbols. We talked about special symbols. We have almost closed out everything before we start. All this one we'll be closing out all this tomorrow. These are just programming aspects and they are very, very, very simple. Like you would really want to practice yourself. So what I will expect you guys to prepare ahead of tomorrow class, make sure you have your editor ready, your test editor ready. So we have different kind of test editor. So you don't need to worry yourself if you don't have a personal system. I have something for you. So we have this online compiler. Though this won't like really work like the app. So you have online compiler. You know, I told you compiler is where you write your code. So you have online compiler. You can keep this link. I'll drop this link in the chat session. I'll drop this link in the chat session. So you can use this to practice if you don't have this. You can also search for C compiler if you don't have a system and you have a phone. You can also search for C compiler on your app store or your play store. Just search for C compiler. You should see compilers that you can use on your phone. Yeah. Just search for C compiler on your app store and play store. You'll be able to see C compiler. But I want all of us to be to practice tomorrow. I want tomorrow's class to be more interactive than today. So I'm trying to look at okay, I've talked about it. Right? We have operators. So what operators does is more of like they are your these are arithmetic symbols that we know. We call them operators in programming. So plus, minus, greater than, less than. So let me just go there. Let me go there. Let me see. Okay, so you can see them. So these are operators. So we have plus. We have greater than, less than, equals to. So and we have different type of operators. Yeah, let me just take my time to these operators very well. So operators, they are more of like your arithmetic symbols, just as I've said. So just as addition, subtraction. So we now have different types of operators. We have arithmetic operators. We have increment operators. We have bitwise operators. We have assignment operators, and we have relational operators. What is that? Please mute yourself if you are not answering question, please. So now, sorry guys. For me. So when we talk about arithmetic operators. They are the operators, normal mathematical operators, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, modulus. Yeah, those are what we call arithmetic operators. And let me check with the last. Is the live stream still going on? Okay, I think so. Yeah. So we have that's what operator is more of like plus, minus, subtraction, addition, multiplication, modulus. Please mute yourself if you are not answering question. We also have increment operators, more of like, okay, let's say you want to always increase a number or decrease a number. You want to write a condition that will be decreasing. Let's say when something happens, you want to be decreasing a number, maybe from 16, 15, 13, 16, 15, 14, 13. You want to be decreasing a number or increasing a number. We use increment or decrement operators, which is plus plus, I minus minus. Though, like this I now, let's imagine I is 5 and I write I plus plus. It's going to do 5 plus 1. 5. If I write I plus plus again, 5 plus that 5 plus 1 the first time is 6. If I write it again, it's going to do 6 plus 1. So more like it's been increasing it. We have I minus minus that will be decreasing the number. So then we have assignment operator. So assignment operator, we use this when we are from the name, when you're assigning value to a variable. These operators are used to assign values to a variable, you can see. So from the name,
I'm right. Everybody, why?
Sorry for who is that disturbing? No, let me kick you out. So let's proceed. We have bitwise operators. So bitwise operators are more of like your operators for condition, checking of condition, like and if this is this and this is this. Okay, if you can say you can write a program that wants to maybe checking people before they enter the exam hall. Okay, if you have your course reg and departmental receipts, if you have this and this, if you have this or this, so those are bitwise operators, and these are we write and in programming, mainly in C rather, in C programming, we C programming language rather, and these are we write or, these are we write bitwise nots, these are we write S or, these are we write shift right, left shift and right shift. So when we start the practical aspect tomorrow, you see how this is applicable, how you can use this to solve real life problem. And we also have relational operators. These operators are used to test or define relationship between entities of variables. Okay, like you want to check the relationship between different variables. If you can say A equals to 20, it's A equals to 20, it's B equals to 5. You can want to write a condition that checks if A is greater than B, if B is greater than A, checking the relationship between two variables. That's what relational operators does. And we have logical operators, which are logic and logic or logic not. And yeah, so these are how to write logical operators. And we have nots. If this is not this, if that is that. So those are what logical operators are. And yeah. So now you can just, most of this part will practicalize it tomorrow. So you don't need to stress yourself about it. We'll do the practical aspect tomorrow. Just make sure that you have, so these, you have code blocks, you can also use the C++ app. There are a lot of online apps you can download to practice this C programming language. That will be what I'll be expecting you guys to prepare for tomorrow's class. So yeah. We also have data type and variable used in C programming language. So we have different kind of data types. We have different kind of data types. So I've explained. I think I've given a little explanation about this data type. Ahead, we have data types are more of like those identifiers I talked about here.
What's on again?
Is that so? Data types are more of like the identifiers I talked about earlier. So okay, let us see examples here. So like char bool. This bool is when you're assigning a boolean value, true or false. We have short int, we have unsigned short int, we have int. So you don't need to really stress yourself about this. When we start the practical aspect, you would see it practically. So we have four main data types. We have basic data types, we have derived data types, we have enumeration data type, and we have void data type. So don't need to worry much about this. You can just know it. You can just note it. But once we start the practical aspect, you will see the differences between all these. So these are just the examples. But once we start the practical aspect tomorrow, you see the examples of it. So, and I think I've talked about variables are defined as reserved memory space, which stores the value of defined data type. So variables are just to store names, more of like you're attaching a values um to an identifier. I can say A equals to 10. So you're just like storing values. So that's why it's called a reserved memory space. And we have different type of variable. We have local variable and we have global variable. So local variable are just from the name. They are variables that are declared inside a code block or a function, and they have their scope limited to that code block of code or function. So I don't know. Let me show you. I can show you the practical example. So if I declare a variable here now, let's see, that's equals 20. So if I declare a variable now, this is how to declare a variable. In fact, the practical aspect will start. I said we'll start tomorrow. We started it today. When I say int s equals to 20 now, this is the process of declaring a variable and assigning a value to it. Like this, I've declared a variable and I've assigned a value to it. So the identifier int, the variable name is x, and the value is 20. So if I have defined this variable here within this code, this block, this is what we call a code block, this between this open bracket and close bracket. I can only access it within this code block. I can only call this x inside this place. I can't call it outside this place. So that's what we call like that's like a simple example I can use for like local variable. So once we start tomorrow, you see more difference. And global variable is not like a variable that you define and outside. Look at the example here. Yeah. Look at int local variable equals to 12. So the way this variable is defined here, it can only be you can only access it within that place. And the global variable is more like a variable that is defined outside the code block. You can say outside the code block function, so it can be accessed anywhere. So that's the difference between a local variable and a global variable. So I will urge you guys to know these variables and their differences. So we also have static variable here, which are any variable declared with the keyword static is known as static variable. So if you declare a variable now, you put static to it. Any question?
Yeah. That's my video doing. You know the why that shit?
Emma, unmute yourself.
Jiggy.
Please mute yourself if you know you're not answering question. Okay, so who's that? Who's that again? Okay, so let's proceed. So we also have what we call external variables. We also have what we call external variables, more of like these are variables declared by using the keyword extern, a variable that can be shared between multiple C files by using external variables. So let's imagine I created a file. Let's imagine I can't once you start the practical aspect tomorrow, you see it. Let's imagine I created a file and I declared the variable inside. If I want that, I create another C file and I want to access that variable outside that C file. I want to access the variable inside another C file. I'll use the keyword stan rather. I'll use the keyword stan. So then I'll be able to access this variable outside the that C file I created. So we'll do the practical aspect of this tomorrow also, and you will see how it works. So rules. So we also have rules for declaring variable. I want you guys to actually really take note of this. We also have automatic variable. These are variables that can be defined using the keyword auto. By default, all variables defined in same language are automatic variables. So this is just for you to note, sharp. This auto you hardly use it, but that's just what it's about in case you're asked. So there are rules for defining variables. You can't just define variables anyhow you like. Just like there are rules of naming things. When you want to name an animal, when you want to name a girl, when you want to name a boy, there are rules. You understand? When we are naming, just like the way we have rules in real life. So that's how we have rules in programming. You can't just come up with, you can't just give any name you like. So if you want to name a variable in programming, a variable can have an alphabet, digits, and underscore. So if you want to name a variable can only have an alphabet, digits, and an underscore. You can't come and be put hashtag this dot that, maybe dot a equals to 2. That is not a variable. You can't put hashtag me equals to a fool. That's not a valid variable name. So a variable name can start with alphabet and underscore only. You have to also know that. The fact that you can use digits, you can do something like A30, B40 equals to equals to me. You can use class 20, class 50. That's a valid variable name. But if you want to name a variable, you must also take note that you can't start a variable naming with number. You can't say 30b. 30b equals to 3,000. 3,000. That's not a valid variable name because you are starting with a number. You can only start a variable name with either an alphabet or an underscore. No spacing is allowed within the variable name. You can't name a variable and say jump up. You should not type string or char or string jump up equals I'm jumping up. No, that's not because jump up there are two. You can't put space. There's space in between those words. It's not a valid variable name. If you should try it, and if you let me try something here. Let me just run this first. So you can see that the code run. So let me just do see if this editor is on. So can you see? You can see that it threw an error, unexpected up, because it is not expecting space here. So if I join it together, so this is a valid variable name. So I'm also going to tell. So don't worry, let them say that yet. So and also don't forget that I told you that I can't put number. You can't use number to start a variable name. I can't say int 20 jump equals to 20. This is not a valid variable name. But I can put 20 at the back. I can start my variable name with underscore. So if I run this now, the program is still going to run. Can you see that the program is still run? I can also start the variable name with underscore. So you can only name a variable. When you are naming variable, you have to keep this in mind. You can only name variable with ints, with digits rather, with digits. I'm used to it. With digits, with alphabets, and with